the trees looked green, the sky looked blue.
Yeah, wow.
I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah, wow.
What is going on?
All right, here we are back in the sauna for another sauna sessions with Shay. In the barrel sauna today, we've got Kel Sanson. Round 2, how are you, mate?
I'm good, buddy. Glad to be back.
Thanks for coming back for another sesh.
That's right, mate.
Now, while you're doing the honorary ladling of the first spoonful of water, just to let everyone know that this is a real sauna and it's really switched on and it's really going. I had a chat to Kel. Kel, you didn't burn yourself, did you? HR, didn't we go?
Safety, it's not facial OH&S.
Yeah. Now, mate, you were guest number 1, straight out of the blocks. So I appreciate you coming back for round 2. But we've had a few chats in between, and we thought it'd be great to have you back in for another sesh because there was a lot of dust unkicked that we needed to have a chat about, and we didn't have time because basically the camera was overheating, and there was so many things that we could have got back into that we didn't. But I'm so glad you could come join us for another session, mate, to unravel and unwind, because with this session we actually wanted to talk about, and this could go, we're going down a few rabbit holes here, but basically some tough times in your life and how you got through those times, and basically the awareness to say, all right, I need some help, and what avenues worked, what didn't work. So I may just switch it over to you, mate, and if you can, tell us, so what were some of the darkest periods of your life, and how'd you get through them?
Straight into it, mate.
Let's go, mate. Let's go. Yeah.
It's hard to go and just launch straight into that. I suppose, like a lot of people, we all have our challenges with life. Mental health, is a big thing. I think for blokes, we don't talk about it enough. It's definitely getting better. Like, I'm loving, some of the conversations online and various things that we see around the place, which is awesome. So definitely a big advocate for that kind of thing.
Well, sorry, and you were saying before, and this is before I met you, you actually put some stuff out online when you were going through some tough times. Yeah. And there was a lot of people that lent a hand.
Yeah. You never know how much support you've got around you a lot of the times until shit gets real, so I did a post about, starting antidepressants. This would have been 2016 or something, or somewhere around there. But that was on the back of, probably over a 18-month to 2-year sort of period of feeling like I was just sliding down. And the biggest thing for me was just being tired all the time, just so freaking tired. To the point where I was having naps, mid-morning, I would have a nap, mid-afternoon I'd nearly fall asleep at my desk. At work I was, wanting to be asleep quite often when I should have been awake and productive. So
it was energy sapping.
It was fatigue. Yeah, I was really fatigued, and then it all kind of came to a head where I had started a new job, and probably 3 or 4 months in, I come in, I'm trying to, as a consultant, in a small business, trying to make a good impression and do good work and do all that sort of thing. Had a couple of really big weeks, a couple of big trips away. Came back right before Christmas when it's a hectic time for us, at that time. And
there was a lot going on.
There's a lot of stress on top of, the fatigue and everything else. And I think the week before that I had, a 60-hour week. I was out in the field by myself all week. And then some pretty hefty deadlines to get some things done before Christmas shut down. Which was tricky. And then, the day...
Don't you find that fascinating? Because and sorry to cut you off, but at that time of year, everyone is under the pump because everyone hasn't done what they probably should have done 3 months prior. You know what I mean? It's like we can see the finish line, and as soon as we see the finish line, then we're in holiday mode. But to me, it's not the best way to live, is it?
No, it's not. It's a hard time for us because in construction they have to shut sites down for 10 days. So big construction projects that we work on, they do a lot of prep work to make sure that the environmental side of things is locked down, ready for that break. In case it rains, and we manage the dirt and keep it on the job, all that sort of thing.
So you're going hell for leather to get it done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And production, they're all trying to do a lot of stuff before they have that 10-day break. So it's hectic. But anyway, I had some big time, some big deadlines, and I just I went to the doctor because I was, not feeling good.
Yep.
And hadn't been feeling good for a while. And he, just an old school doctor. Now, doctors have their place. There are some amazing doctors. There's not so amazing doctors, same as mechanics, same as plumbers, same as consultants. There's always the spectrum. But this doctor, he just, when I told him how I'd been feeling, old school, he just goes, right, here's a questionnaire, just a one-pager. I'll get you to fill that out now and go through and, it asks you a bunch of different questions and you score yourself. And then he's like, quick summary is you tick all the boxes for major depression and major anxiety.
Okay. You just didn't AC/DC this, did you? Like to
ACD,
AC/DC,
no, not like an exam.
Yeah.
No. So
4 out of 10, right? Yeah.
So he and he said, right, we're going to start you on antidepressants, and I was like, I got no idea about this stuff. Sure, So it was Lexapro was the choice of tablet that he gave me, and 10 milligrams a day. So start taking these, come back and see me in a few months and we'll see how you feel. And so I had started to keep I can't even remember what it's called, maybe Dailyo or something. It was an app where you're just recording every day how you feel and tired, not tired, great, amazing, and all that sort of thing. And was still struggling, through that first 3 months on the pills. And so then went back to see him, and old school doctor is again take two tablets
double
a day. Yeah. So
double
it's
everything.
The dose.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's up to 20 milligrams a day, and then again over the next few months, still no change. And for me, I didn't know about this stuff. I mean, yes, you hear about depression and everything else. Didn't really know anyone close to me who had said, look, this is what's going on for me and how it feels for me, and really have that. And I think for me it was a big learning curve of what am I expecting here? What other things do I need to deal with and whatever else? So I kind of came to a point where there's a few very random things that happened that led me down a different pathway with it all, and so and that was
so you doubled everything, and this is over what period?
So from when I started to when I got off them, probably only would have been, I think maybe 6 or 7 months, something like that.
Okay.
So I'd seen him about halfway through, and that's when he doubled the dose.
Yep.
And then I started, I'd given up dragon boat racing then, so I was doing stand-up paddleboard racing.
Yep.
I had a race in Noosa. It's a bit of a funny story, how that's not funny, but strange how it all kind of fit together. But I had a race in Noosa, got some blisters on my hand, did some training in the canals up there the next day with one of the Australian champion paddlers to learn some things.
Yeah.
In the water, then I must have got an infection.
Yeah, right, okay.
Hand.
Yep.
That night, went to sleep thinking, oh man, I remember during the night thinking, God, my hand feels sore. I woke up a few times thinking, man, it's painful.
In the canals, you don't know what bacteria is in the canals.
Funky stuff is getting around.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, woke up and my 2 fingers were like twice the size of what they should have been. So I had an infection in there.
Yep.
And I thought, oh man, that's no good. I should probably go to the chemist, this morning go to work. Went to the chemist, walked down there, and they said, oh, you need to go and see a doctor. Because you've got, looks like cellulitis, an infection in your soft tissue. And
you're supposed to be racing?
It was just after that weekend.
Oh, this is after, okay. Right,
so this is after the weekend on the Monday. And then went to the doctors just next door. They said, you need to see a doctor, like right now, you need to see someone. So I went in there and they said, oh, well, this doctor, she's not taken, we can't get you in this morning, blah, blah, blah. But there was a doctor there, really lovely doctor, and she overheard. She said, I'm not taking new patients, but come in, I'll see you right now.
Yeah.
So she said, look, if you get, this is an infection, if you get back to the office, which is only 200 metres away, if this gets worse, you get the red tracks up your arms, you have to go to hospital. So by the time I walked back to work, I had the red tracks, like I was a veiny sort of person, but I had the tracks running right up my arm, red.
The matrix arm was starting to take over.
Yeah. So, but in the assessment, when she was talking to me, she asked me so many questions about all sorts of stuff, not just how did this happen. She was asking all sorts of things just in a 10-15 minute consultation. I thought, man, she's got it going on. So went to hospital, did all the thing, got hooked up to antibiotics for a couple of days. It was pretty.
You're on IV drip, were you?
Yeah, put it in straight in. So that was pretty full on, but got better. Got out of hospital. And the next week, I was like, I need to see this lady, and so I went back in.
Oh, right. So you got curious.
Because she seemed to ask me heaps of good questions. She was amazing, and I thought, oh, well, look, I'll go and see if I can get in to see her. And I went to them and said, look, I know they said she's not seeing new patients, but and they said, oh, well, because you were here, you're not a new patient. You're an old patient. Sweet. So come on in and see her. So I booked in to double appointment to go and see her and say, look, I'm not doing real well. And she asked me, a million questions, no checklists, no forms or anything to go through. So she asked me heaps of questions.
She's just feeling you out.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. What's your nutrition like? What's your sleep like? What's your family life, work, all the things, And then, and she said, and I showed her my little diary in the daily. I'm pretty sure it's Dailyo, but in the app about stats, gives you stats monthly, like how good you're doing, blah blah blah, all that. And she said, I think you've got some sleep problems.
Yeah.
She said, you may be feeling depression, but I think it's sleep related.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. So she said, look, what we'll do, first thing, we'll take you off these pills.
Yep.
I was like, sweet, let's do that. She didn't explain to me real well.
So you've been on these pills for about, 7-8 months?
6-7 months, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And she didn't really explain to me greatly about the side effects of coming off them, but I learned very quickly about that. So she pulled me off them. I think it was probably because I was near the end of a script, and she's like, look, we'll just halve the ones that you got left. So
wean you off them.
So about over, I think it was only about over a week maybe.
Okay.
That I would drop to a half dose.
Yep.
A week and a half, and then it was off them.
Okay.
And but coming off them was that when I think about the things that I've been through in life, I think about that week or two, and it was the worst time. Like it was.
So what were some of the side effects?
These things called brain zaps, which was something that I didn't know about. I thought your brain goes crazy. Like I thought I don't know if I got a brain tumor. Like what's wrong? I feel just horrible. Like it was really difficult to try and explain to anybody how I was feeling. Yeah, including my wife at the time, and I just couldn't articulate it. And these brain zaps, it's like you're getting electric shock through your brain, through your brain, and you hear it in your inner ears, and it just would happen. Yeah, wow. Randomly, and I was at work
because you're not feeding your brain that drug anymore.
Well, I think it's the come down off those drugs. So I was at work that day doing an site inspection with a site enviro who was driving me around, and I can remember really distinctly, nearly screaming at him because I felt like he was driving over every bump. Oh, right. Specifically to annoy me. Yeah. And it was like completely driving me nuts. Yeah, like he obviously wasn't. No, yeah.
You magnified it times 100 in your head.
It was insanity. And only just recently, as I was saying to Sari before, only just recently have heard that they are actually investigating brain zaps, like what happens with people coming off antidepressants. So
so it's not just you. There's a pattern with other people coming off the drugs that have got the same symptoms.
Yeah, only looking into it in depth just recently, like in the last year or two, which is just nuts. So, it was a really tough time, and it's hard. It definitely, it's shit.
You're right, mate.
It's a really hard thing to sit here and talk about because there was a couple of days there where it was bad. Mentally I was really bad. I was like, I can't live like this. I can't live this way. And what pulled me through was my little girl, Charlie. Yeah. So that was the thought that I kept kind of circling back to, which is I can't leave her and take this way out. But I went away for work again that next week, just going through the motions. So all of these things sound really weird when they're all in isolation, but I don't know, sometimes in my life I look at things and I think there's just, you make certain decisions, and I don't know about believing in fate. Like I like to think I'm in control of things, but sometimes you wonder, So anyway, one of the nights when I was away, I was just on YouTube looking at some crap, and I came across the Wim Hof documentary. I think it's Becoming the Iceman. It was about a 40-minute doco. Yep. And I was just laying in bed one night by myself at this bed and breakfast that I stay at, and I thought I'd just watch this, and it seems really interesting. And he's talking about his journey and the ice baths and the breathing and all this sort of stuff, and I thought, I'm just going to give it a crack. I'm going to have a go. Yeah. I guess, I've got got the shakes today. I think the cold from the ice bath. Still haven't warmed up in here yet.
Just for the people listening as well, we've Kel's just killed it in the ice bath. We've got it down to 3-4 degrees, and he's just done 3 minutes like there's no tomorrow, like an absolute champion. We're sipping on some teas in the sauna.
It's good tea.
Some orange and cinnamon. Yeah. But mate, sorry. Well, back to you. It's
So I watched the doco and I thought, again, with me, just the personality type. Sometimes if I get onto something new, like I go right, I'm gonna get
charge at it.
I'm gonna get on this and I'm gonna go for it, you know. And my gut was like, look, just give it a go. So I downloaded the app that they had at the time. This was 2016. I'm sure it was 2016-ish when this was kind of happening, before he became a household name and just blew up royally. So it was still pretty low key by then, by comparison to now. And so I got the app and thought, okay, watch some YouTube clips about how to do the breathing thing that he does, the rounds of breathing. And I thought, right, I'm gonna do it right now. So before bed, I just turned the lights off, chilled out, and then did 3 or 4 rounds of the breathing. And then went to bed, and I was like, all right, well, you know, we'll see what happens. Next morning, I woke up again and did the breathing again, and then I had a cold shower because this is down near Yamba in winter. It's not freezing cold, but it's
the bloody cold shower down there.
Cold showers are rough.
Ice
bath is better than a cold shower.
In some ways it is, isn't it?
So I did that, and then that day when I can remember it like I can remember it like it was yesterday, that day, because when I went to work, the fog in the brain and the brain zapping was gone. The fog in the brain was gone.
Well, the next day.
That day. Right? And everything, the trees looked green, the sky looked blue.
Wow.
I was just like, what is going on?
Wow.
What is going on? And then that night I got back and I was pumped. Did the breathing again and then some push-ups, which you can do in the back end of the breathing rounds. Just what is going on? And I think probably the challenging thing for my wife Kylie at the time was I went away for that trip a certain person and came back very different straight away. So I was hyped. So I came home, went online, bought a chest freezer. Some bloke down the south side, his old bait freezer.
So this is back in 2016?
Yeah, I think it was 2016 or 17. I think it's 16.
I didn't realise. So you were doing the ice therapy back then, or the cold?
Right, so
cold
I got
punch.
a freezer. I got a chest freezer and set it up outside and just started doing it every morning. I'd do the ice bath before I went to work. And so I was doing the breathing in the morning, then an ice bath, then breathing at night before bed, and I just went crazy on it, you know. And I felt like amazing. And so again, I'm not to say that there may be anecdotal evidence about it. I know there's some sort of science, that's been happening with his breathing and the ice baths, the cold therapy. There's definitely some science around that, but I felt really good. Really good. And then that.
So when you find something really good, you continue doing it, don't you?
Well, I did it for a good few months, and the funny thing about, again, when you look at the timing of things and what you learn and all that sort of stuff is just. Come early November, Kylie and I, separated, and which is obviously was really tough.
Tough time,
all that, So, but I think because of the things that I've been doing, it kind of helped me to get through that time. Still doing the breathing and stuff, and trying to keep myself okay to get through it. So,
nice, mate. Nice.
And she made the best decision she could at the time based on where she was at, and we had been kind of growing apart and all that sort of, it's still a really tough time, but but everything has been amazing since then,
Nice.
We're good mates, the family's good, Kelly's good, everything's really good. But it kind of got me through that time, and so for me it was a big part of life, it's a big chapter of life, but since then life is amazing. But I found other things, like I haven't kept on with the ice baths all the time or the breathing all the time. Now I just do it randomly, like when you come and stay, we'll do some breathing in an ice bath or whatever. I think the other stuff was, that I got back to, which happens when people separate sometimes, is they start doing things that they may have stopped doing or find something new that they're really into. And for me it was climbing, in the Glasshouse Mountains, scrambling, hiking and getting back to nature again, which was something that I just hadn't been doing much. And for me, made me again feel high. I got into a bit of running and a bit of trail running, and the big those big natural life high kind of things. You know? So for me, it was. And since then, yes, you know, like there's been a pretty solid amount of nature time and exploration, and got into my photography and these passions and things that make me feel good. And any time I've felt, it's not to say it's all been, you know, sweet and easy since then, but I think when I feel like I'm not doing so good, then I know the things now that I need to do.
Yeah, there you go,
to make me feel good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, about all that is there's everybody has their own... You know, it's their own rodeo to ride. It's, I think, you know, we're not trying to bash medication or anything like that in this. You know, it's not the thing.
For the viewers at home, this is just a disclaimer. This is what works for Kel. So it's, you know, if something works for you, then do it. But it's also that exploration thing, as you said. Like sometimes when you're first going through something and you're not too sure what's going on, to pick the right path first up, it doesn't generally happen, does it?
No, you got to.
But you say, okay, I need something to help me out here because this is not working. All right, and I'm spiraling, and I need some kind of help. And you know, look, in some ways, I'm the same way with that. Like I think pills don't work for me, but there's natural remedies, the ice bath, the breathing, the quietening down of this, you know, because, I don't know, this works at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'd like to see the guy on the bicycle riding this thing up here because he's mate, he needs a new pair of shoes or he needs to have a shower. But it's like, it's that exploration, like it's life, isn't it? You're going through life and find something that works, things that don't work, but then you start to work the puzzle out, and you know, and I think
work the problem, you know,
and like us getting into our 40s, we're not 20 anymore, but that doesn't mean we can't still run around like spring chickens and do everything. Like in some ways, I think you can always be fitter and more mentally strong up here than when you were 20. 20, you're still trying to work things out.
Yeah, that's right.
And look, I think you're always trying to work things out till you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
But I think going through those hard times, you know, going through the pain, you'll start to, and it's that curiosity to, okay, well, I can keep doing this, but it's just a dead end.
Yeah.
So let's try something alternative methods. So
definitely. Yeah. So it was really, you know, when I look back on that time, like it was a pretty pivotal time in life. Like it's going through that battle, going through, you know, a separation and divorce, and trying to get life back to some sort of normality for Charlie and for ourselves, you know. And so I think it's a funny one when I look back on, because when I first started taking those antidepressants, you know, I took a photo of the pill on my finger and put it on Facebook and said, look, this is what's happening with me.
Yeah.
Did same on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You know, just like, well, look, if I'm going through this, and other people might go, shit, well, maybe I need to see a doctor or something. To help somebody. Same as this today. If one person hears this and goes, shit, well, not that everybody thinks I'm going to solve everything by doing Wim Hof breathing in an ice bath. It's not it. It's I think it, to me, is, if anything, trying to find that holistic kind of approach to it, and saying, well, you got to try some stuff and be prepared to fight on, you know, and keep trying to work it out like that.
I think everyone knows if you keep doing the same shit, you're going to get the same results.
So and it definitely took me some time, and I probably was pretty stuck in that groove for that 18 months or whatever. Like I remember trying to see a nutritionist and wondering whether or not the food was making me tired, and, you know, those kind of things. And before I worked out, I didn't really explain that, but the tiredness thing was still a thing. When the doc said, you know, we need to get your sleep checked out. Part of that, and I completely missed that piece of the puzzle in this discussion, but part of that was that she sent me off to a sleep specialist to get my sleep tested, which I did. And it came back and said I have moderate sleep apnea. Sleep apnea. Yeah.
So they want to put you on a CPAP machine?
Well, no, because when you've got moderate case, you can use a mouthguard thing. So it's like a 2-piece kind of mouthguard at the time that just pulls your lower jaw forward a little bit, and it helps open your airway so you can breathe better. And it made a massive difference. Like I was, you know, it wasn't Wim Hof cured my tiredness. It cured the brain fog and the brain zapping from happening. But the sleep thing was a big component of it. So I got that.
I don't know anyone that wants to go to bed dressed up as Darth Darth Vader, though. You know what I mean?
It's pretty rough, but I mean, for me, if I had to, sure, I don't care.
Look, if you get that extra hour's sleep, why not?
You're waking up, feeling refreshed and everything. And I've got a few mates who use a CPAP machine and for various reasons. For me, so I had that mouthguard thing for a few years, but I've kind of stopped. I stopped using it maybe only like a year or 18 months ago.
Okay.
Just thought it's horrible. It wasn't comfortable, right? Like it hurts your teeth and it's not great. But I thought I'm just going to give it a go without. And I borrowed my mate's Fitbit. She lent me one of those Fitbit things, track your sleep and stuff. I thought I'll just give it a go for a couple of nights and still feeling good. And I haven't used it since then, so I don't know what it did to me.
Have you tried any nasal stuff, just breathing through the nose?
Yes. Tried that sort of thing too. I mean, nighttime, I'd probably end up being a mouth breather, I suppose.
I think it's default for most people.
I don't wake up tired and feel that irritability and the brain fog and all those things that I felt through that really rough time. So for me, getting the sleep sorted was a big
Sleep's huge.
It was massive. So for me now, I'm very protective of my sleep now. Try to keep my routine. Try to still, even on the weekends, not stay up late watching a movie and do it. I mean, I still go out of it,
Well, for context, everyone, Kel stayed here last night and we watched half the Cobbler. I think it was me that pulled it up. I was like, all right, because Alexa tells us to go to bed at 9 o'clock, So we've got to listen to Alexa.
We've got to listen to the boss. But I mean, that's important. It's an important part of it. And so keeping that good routine, keeping up my exercise, still doing CrossFit. And
Did you find anything in your diet that you took out that actually helped?
Not really.
No.
Not
so
really.
Your diet was pretty good?
My diet was pretty good because around that time was when even though I was tired and not doing great, I think through just before the kind of worst of it was when I was paddling for Australia. So I was training a lot. A couple of times a day doing paddling or weights or whatever cardio things. So
can I just ask you about dragon boat racing? Now that's hectic on the body, isn't it? Like the lactic acid that's pulsing through you, and just the actual stress on the body is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you find that a big, I suppose, you're not thinking about your mental health when you're in a bloody dragon boat, are you?
Shit, no.
Yeah. But do you sometimes go to that extreme? Like physical exercise or just pushing yourself to those limits to see, hang on, I'm curious to see how far I can go.
Yeah, for me it was definitely that. Like you're lost in the repetition of the sets, when you're training, and then when you're racing, you definitely not think about anything else. Than, keeping in sync with everybody paddling in front of you and getting to the finish line in front of the other peanuts in the other boats. That's what it is. So it's a huge thing. But then for me, knowing, then I came off that and did stand-up paddleboard racing for a while. I'm not real good at it because I'm too freaking heavy and tall, and things aren't really going well for me.
You're in the heavyweight class.
It's not helpful. But then eventually I did a bit of CrossFit and got back into CrossFit again, and so but the physical component, same with the trail running and climbing, and that to me is that. I think it's Laird Hamilton talks about being with his surfing and stuff is the element of active meditation. So I think when people think about meditation, they think about doing these ones, sitting on a rock somewhere. And it's not like that for everybody. So climbing a mountain, going to CrossFit, any of those things to me are places to still the mind.
Well, the other podcast that I produce, they talk a lot about that. A lot of builders talk about they jump in a car and do 10 seconds down a straight. Now that to them is freedom from the grind of everything going up here, and it's active meditation. So trail bike riding, or it's that release and that outlet. But it's like I've got to concentrate on the next turn. I can't think about what's wrong with me.
That's exactly right. You're very forward focus. You're right in front of you. This is what is important.
Spot on. So So I like that active meditation.
I'm sure it's Laird Hamilton when I heard him say that, and I was like,
I think he's ahead of the curve on a lot of things. But
so he's big on his breathing and stuff. As well,
I think I'm always curious about the older, the generation above me that has learnt over the years what works, what doesn't, and then they're implementing, but they're also doing it.
Definitely.
So I know I can learn a heap from the 60, 70-year-olds. Not to say I can't learn from the 20-year-old, because I'm always open to that. I just tend to go to those 60, 70-year-olds because they've been through it.
Definitely.
But
I think there's, when I reflect back on that whole kind of experience and all that kind of time, it's just, as I said before, you're not saying medication is bad. For some people, they definitely do need it to balance chemical imbalances, that sort of thing, and that's fine. But I thought when I started it, I was like, this is a magic pill, and it's going to make me feel better.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't.
That was the belief structure.
Yeah, well, that was all I knew. And when I look back, I'm like, man, why didn't I think about other things? And I don't know, when you're in it at the time, you're trying to make the best decision that you can based on the information you have.
Sure, yeah.
But learn a hell of a lot of things out of that. But for me, one of the things I keep coming back to is, have you ever heard of the Stockdale Paradox? I don't know if I've told you this before.
No, I've heard Stockholm Syndrome, but Stockdale Paradox
is a different thing. So,
extreme contradiction in terms. Paradox. Is it anything to do with... Stockdale's the person who came up with it?
Yeah. Okay. He was a POW in World War II.
Not the guy that played golf in his head while he was in a POW camp?
No, he didn't.
Haven't heard of that guy?
Golf, no.
He played the same, like he's in a POW camp, but he's the one thing that you don't control is my brain.
Yeah.
So
this was a similar concept.
Similar thing.
I don't think I remember anything about golf. Okay.
I'll tell you the story.
But his thing was like, you've got to confront the brutal facts of your existence at the time.
Yep.
But always temper that with the fact that you will overcome in the end.
Okay.
I've probably not worded it greatly, but we can put a link in the show notes.
Yeah. Look at Kel.
All over this podcast.
You should be sitting over here. Link in the show notes. Yeah.
But it's to me, is not about extreme optimism or pessimism. It's going, right, well, this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Do I think I can beat it? Well, yes. I do want to think that I can overcome this thing. And so for me is not giving up, It's driving forward. So it's a great thing to read about. Just Google Stockdale Paradox.
Stockdale Paradox,
really,
okay.
Really interesting.
I'm going to look into that.
It's something I keep coming back to a lot in life when it's a bit challenging, But,
well, it's funny you say that, because I heard something from Flea the other day from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I don't think he does any drugs or alcohol or anything anymore.
He's done enough.
Yeah. Well, I'd say probably, for sure. Yeah. But the reason he stopped it all is... he wanted to experience the pain front on, or experience the happiness front on, without the change in brain fogginess or whatever through alcohol. That can be the escape mechanism. To shut down the brain, to not have to think about the pain
and feel.
He wanted to feel everything. And I think there's something kind of powerful in that, is to go cold turkey, and it's like, okay, I want to live and feel everything, and I think, I like where you're coming from with that.
It's really hard. Like, I know when shit's not going your way, and you'd love to be able to numb out to certain life things with alcohol or drugs or whatever, but I mean,
and look, I think there's times to do it. Like, if you just had a brain dump and just had so many things on, it's good to sit down and watch an episode of bloody Friends.
Absolutely.
Like, just 20 minutes out here and there. Sarah does it. She loves Friends, but I'm on the side watching.
Don't lie.
I see what Chandler's up to every now and again, and Ross. I don't know, but it's one of those things. It's like, you can't be in your head or thinking 24/7. You need to give it a break. So whatever, and it is just going for a run, or just switch off.
Switch it off. That's the hard thing. But I think that when we get our nature time and when we go hiking or climbing or whatever, that is part of that. To me, is for me is something where your brain is just, you're off. You're not worried about this work assignment or this work due date or other things going on. You're involved in the moment and you're consciously focused. So all that other crap can come back later.
So can you just talk us through because I've experienced it too, when you look outside, the grass is greener, the trees are greener, everything is richer, right? And it's like there's been this total change in your makeup. What was that like? And do you think that was the breathing that helped with that? That was the catalyst?
I mean, the breathing was the thing, because I didn't know about the sleep thing then, because that was just basically to try and get me through this foggy brain zappy crap coming off those freaking pills. And that was the thing. Like, it was just the clarity of like, holy shit. Like, I remember that day.
And there's a moment of gratefulness for living the experience.
Yeah. I think since then, probably because of, when in life, like, you know, when you're a dad of a little child, like, I hate to think about her going through painful things, of course.
Yeah.
But when I look at myself and my life and the really painful events that I've been through, there's always some good shit on the other side.
For sure.
You know? But because of those painful events, it gives you context to enjoying the good things, or even just the normal everyday things that you have now. And I don't do, you know, great, what do you call it, gratitude journaling, or I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And I love, you know, that people do and get benefit out of it. But I think that, you know, I'm like, oh, I freaking love this. God, I love this photo. God, I love being out taking photos. Photos with my camera, and shit, I love hanging out with these guys, like you guys, you and Sari, and I'm definitely appreciative of that, and that, you know, that resilience. You had a resilience project.
I have, yes.
In Collinberg,
I haven't studied it, but
gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. You know, and so for me, those three things can be tied into a lot of your life without necessarily, for me, needing to write them down. But they're there. You know, really appreciate what I have. Very, very grateful for you know, the life that I lead. I think I'm very, very lucky with a lot of things, and have made good decisions to get me where I am. And so
nice, mate.
It's really being grateful for those things. Having that really shit time gives you the bar of like, that's the shittest. If that's the shittest, you might be shittier at some other time in the future if something else happens. But that's one of those times in life where you're at the bottom of the well, and when you swim back to the top and get a breath, and you appreciate the taste of what's going on around you.
Look, I think it is life, but I've had this thought that we're on the other side of that wall is a kid in a candy shop, and it's overcoming that adversity and the pain, but going through it, you've got to take it on and actually, you know, grab the bull by the horns and accept that, you know, you're a living, breathing human that is vulnerable and isn't perfect and is going to go through shit times. But instead of shunning it or pressing it down into that lasagna of shit in your, you know, in your gut.
Good analogy.
It's just layers and layers of crap, and that's, you know, what builds up is to express it, go through it. I understand what Flea's saying, like, feel the pain and live it, go through it, because you'll become lighter as well, you know.
Definitely. But there's always, to me now, I'm like, there's always some good shit on the back of this bad shit. It's just how I get through, you know. Like, and again, that comes back into that Stockdale Paradox. It's like, yes, things are shit right now, but, you know, it's not always going to be that way. There's always some good stuff to come.
For sure,
and those shit times give you really good context for enjoying the things that I say is, when things are awesome or even just average, then you know, shit, and feel so happy to be here, you know, doing this life.
Now, mate, if we fast forward the clock, 6-7 years later, you're now exploring these avenues that, like, as you said, you're getting into photography. That was never on the radar a couple of years ago, was it?
No. It's sort of only been just coming up to 2 years since I really got stuck in.
And every time we catch up, like, you're shooting like a motherfucker. Like, you've got the camera and you've got your lenses and, you know, you've got the full kit and you're doing it, and you're always looking for that frame or the next shot, you know. And
the brain is all, and that's part in that for me now, I suppose, you know, analysing that, what does it do for me is when I'm somewhere with my camera, I'm constantly present focused. Right? Because I'm looking at what's the light doing? What's that person doing? Are they going to walk through that puddle of light over there? Bang. You know, like, what's the angle of the street and the shadow? Where's that bird going to go? And so you're looking at that stuff all the time. And I think even when I'm driving the jobs now, I'm like, oh, if I was standing there with my camera, that'd be an awesome frame. And that's where my brain is working a lot of the time. So quite often, if I feel a bit shit, doing some editing of photos is really, really good too, because I'm focused on what's going on here. But then for me is getting my camera in hand and going out for a shoot is just heaven to me. Like, it is heaven.
I think in some ways that, like, because I know from a creative perspective, I get frustrated if I'm not being creative, and I know that you've also got to take a backseat and watch Friends, right, for 20 minutes, right, or just do something to
solid theme here, mate.
I know there's I'll be there for you. But I get frustrated with if I'm not being creative, and it's I think there's a different strength. Like, some people can taste creativity, smell it, and it's like, it's just so encompassing and engulfing them. So I feel lucky that that creativeness is there, but it doesn't, it's not fully enveloping me, and I think in some ways too that you found photography, and it's now just taking you on another journey. And you're selling prints too, aren't you?
I've sold a few, mate.
Yeah, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, shit, yeah. It always blows my mind a bit that someone wants to pay money for that, but I would do it for free all the time because I fucking love it. Like, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel amazing, especially, I do a bit of shooting at CrossFit and, capturing people in moments and especially, when there's big competitions on or whatever, and then there's kids running out to cheer dad, Coach Liam. Those kind of moments, his little kids are like cheering daddy, and then I get there and I capture that moment and freeze that little moment in time, and it brings them joy and those kind of things. Like, you can't put a dollar value on that for what it brings to me, for me and myself, and froth over it. Like,
for sure.
So that to me, so there's those little things, and like I said, still getting out the bush, going camping, going hiking, getting out in the van, for a weekend. Like,
what did you think of the grounding mat, mate? Did you?
I don't feel anything on the grounding mat.
I'm like, is this thing turned on? Is it working? Have I just been had for $80?
Shaking my cup of tea because I was so bloody cold.
Well, I can see it in your eyes, mate. Your eyes are, the windows are clean. Yeah. So I think after a breath sesh, before we've jumped in the sauna today for a chat, folks, we've done 4 rounds of Wim Hof. Yep. We did 3 minutes in the ice bath at 4 degrees, and then we've jumped straight in here. Sari's made us a cup of tea each.
Cup of tea is good,
but we've done, like, there's no way, like, the ice bath sucks. Like, but I suppose, again, it's the way you look at it. Yeah. But it is like daggers going through your system, and it's trauma.
It was hard today.
Yeah.
I mean, but in saying that, like, when I get in and we've got Rage Against the Machine pumping real loud in the garage,
well, I think
my mind is like, it's so cold that I feel hot, and then my brain's going, right, we're warm, we're good, we're safe, we're all right, just breathe and relax, and so the 3 minutes didn't actually feel that bad today. So,
but how quick does 3 minutes go when your focus isn't on how cold it is? It's actually on having a conversation with, or listening to the music, and it's like, I wonder how I'd play drums to that, or what I mean, or what would I do if I was on stage with Rage Against the Machine, or so when you change the focus, you can bloody stay in there as long as you want. But
that's right. So I freaking love it.
Absolutely. Now, mate, if because I think the heat, we're getting towards the end there, and sorry, folks, for if you heard some rain on the roof. We've just got some storms coming through today, but I think it's all part of the texture of the
experience, mate.
What things in a nutshell worked for you, and what things didn't work for you to go through those tough times that people may want to explore if they are going through something right now?
Well, I mean, as I said before, I think medication for some people may be the thing that they need, like ADHD medication helps some people, antidepressant medication helps some people, but don't think of any one thing as the magic bullet. There's 100 magic bullets. You got to uncover all of them, For you, it's whatever journey you need to ride. So for me, it was making sure I get plenty of nature time. Making sure, big one is probably the top of the list, is making sure I get sleep, and knowing that if I don't get enough sleep, I'm going to have a nap tomorrow sometime. Big fan of a weekend.
You can't beat a 20-minute power nap,
Especially if I've done a hard CrossFit session in the morning, or been for a big climb or something like that, then a nap is friggin' awesome. But that's probably a big thing, having a good network around you. I'm really, really lucky to have the people that I have in my life around me are fucking awesome. Like, I've got, you got a good
Kylie's,
my ex-wife Kylie, her family, my in-laws, they've all become my outlaws. I see them easy once a week. We still do birthdays, Christmas, Easter, footy, State of Origin, all of those things all together. They're a big part of my life, and they always will be. My two step kids, Jazzy and Lockie, from Kylie's kids. Still a good part of my life. My daughter, you guys, my other mates from uni, mates from climbing, mates for the mountains, and mates from CrossFit. There's a big network of incredibly amazing humans around me, and that to me is huge. Huge.
Do you find voicing what's going on really helps?
Yeah, I've got to talk it out. If I go into shutdown, I know it's not a good time.
Well, you can go and get on loop, can't you? It's the same thing. You just go over and over in your brain, and it's like, get it out of your system.
I've got to purge it. I've got to talk it out, and there's a couple of people that are my go-tos for that sort of thing, which is great. So that's the guts of it.
Yeah.
Plenty of nature time
Yeah.
and photography time.
What you just explained, though, I don't think is that difficult to do. It may sound like, a lot, but if you go get some sunlight, right, and you get out with nature,
Yep.
you smell the grass, you smell the flowers, and just whatever the world's got to offer you.
Yep.
Eat some good food, get some good sleep. Now, and I don't want to simplify because I know we're all made up differently.
Yep.
Those few couple of things, eat good foods, those things can put you in the right. It's the right step forward to dealing with these things.
Things to help you along, So as you say, there's no. Everybody's going to be different. Everyone's riding their own rodeo. So to me, it's you got to find what works for you, and that takes time. Maybe take 3 months. Maybe it takes 3 years. Maybe it takes more.
Yep.
But again, just don't give up.
And get curious. Start looking at certain alternatives to what's going on.
Just alternative to mainstream medicine to me is a good way to go. And so I think it's don't give up.
Yep. Nice, man.
Yeah.
Mate. Look, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate you having this chat with us today, because I know it's not easy in some ways, but it's also I love hearing your story, mate. And I've learned so much more about you just by chatting with you today. So I appreciate your time, mate. Mate.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll always be, mate. There's always a bed here for you. There's always a bloody ice bath, and there's always a barrel sauna to have a chat. So
friends.
Yeah. There's always whatever Ross and Rachel are up to, mate. There's always time to check it out. Yeah.
But look, no, thank you for having me. It was that was a really tough one. It was a tough one. It was a bit emotional, and which I knew it was going to be, and probably what had me awake a little bit last night.
Well, you were telling me last night,
thinking through things, and it's tough knowing people are going to watch this and see me get emotional, but that's real, that's how it is. It's not always fun. And
mate, I appreciate your honesty and just your authenticity on the whole matter, because I think we need to see more of it. I think I don't know if I feel it's an Australian thing where everything is hunky dory, everything's okay, everyone's got a smile on their face, everyone's saying sorry. I don't know what the sorry thing's about, but everyone's okay. Yet it's on the surface, and if you're young and you're saying, well, hang on, why is everyone okay all the time? But yet I'm not. I just see, so getting through those layers, getting to the truth, and getting it out there. Vulnerability is power, mate. I think just actually talking it out. So, mate, really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, no worries, buddy.
You're a legend, brother. Thanks, man.
No worries, buddy.
All right. Okay, we're going to sign out. So, Kel, don't burn yourself this time, mate. Yeah.
The passage is this way, away from the steam.
I'm going to link in the bio to the Paradox series.
Oh, the Stockdale Paradox.
Paradox, I'll throw that in the link, because I've got to research this thing as well. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about it, and if you want to come and jump in the sauna for a chat, reach out to me. We'll see you in the sauna for the next one. Thanks, guys.